Hello there! Welcome to the abandoned mining town of Cerro Gordo. Back in the 1800s, this town was the largest silver mine in California's history. The mine had an active life of 60 years, and at its peak, 4,000 people called these hills home. There's never a bank here, and there's never any law enforcement, so that meant a lot of murders and a lot of treasures hidden and maybe never retrieved. So this week, I recruited 50 people, and we spent 48 hours metal detecting this town. I'm super excited about what we might find. So I've been living here at Cerro Gordo for the past 20 months straight. I spend my days trying to preserve the history, and so that means repairing the old buildings, exploring the 30 miles of mines underneath the town, finding different artifacts, because I think everything you find, whether it's a hammer, a dynamite box, or even a sardines can, tells a story. So it would seem a great place to start if I was looking to add artifacts to the museum here would be metal detecting. People drop things all the time, they hide them, they don't get them back, they hide them, then they're murdered, all sorts of things. But over the past 2 years here, I just could never get into metal detecting. It's just something that I'm not good at. But I knew I was missing opportunities for amazing artifacts that could be all around me. So finally, a few weeks ago, I had this idea that, hey, a lot of you are much better at metal detecting than I am, are probably a little bit more patient, and so why not invite a lot of people out and see what we can find? I guess first off, thanks to everybody for being here. This is a little overwhelming. This is by far the most people I've seen here at one time, but that's really cool. I'm very excited. I think we're gonna find a lot of cool stuff today. Back in the day when Cerro Gordo was at its peak, in the 1870s, Tiberico Vasquez, which the Vasquez rocks are named after outside of LA, was a big bandit back in the day. And he used to rob Cerro Gordo. And so one of these times that he was coming up, all the men left to go meet him and his guys to hold them off. And all the women in the town put all of their valuable stuff into cans and hid them. And then a couple days later, apparently they forgot where a lot of those cans were. And so maybe today, we can find some of those cans and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to find some cool stuff.
Yeah. And with that, we set out to find some artifacts from the past.
One of my favorite things that was evident at this event was just all the help that Cerro Gordo has around it these days. Coordinating and arranging 50 people from all over the country to come and stay was just not possible 20 months ago. If I was trying to do all that, it definitely would have failed. But these days there's this team that's developed around the town. There's Scotty, who handles all the volunteer coordination, which makes my life just so much easier. And there's a half dozen or so local volunteers that are just always ready to help out. And in total, it took something like 10 volunteers to make sure everybody arrived safely and got to their designated camping spots. And just knowing that support system exists around the town makes me confident that the progress here will continue, which makes me super happy.
Day one began, and it kind of just looked like ants, spreading out everywhere across the property. We had people here from aged 8 all the way into their 70s, but the kind of shared passion for history connected everybody, and that was evident, talking to the different people.
Yeah. I'm Andrew and Tam Faulkner. We're from Modesto. Sometimes people don't like you to come out and metal detect on their property. So this seems like a great opportunity.
So this is where Belshaw's furnace was. So he did all the smelting.
Oh.
There used to be a massive building here. And from my understanding, they used to do like 50 tons of galena refining here a day. The technology wasn't there fully to get all the minerals out of back in the day. So there's still a decent amount of lead and silver in there. They just couldn't get out. So my goal for day one was just to go around and get to know everybody a little bit. All these people spent time out of their week to come here and help find new artifacts for this museum. And so Chris and I just bounced around and interviewed everybody, tried to get to know them a little bit, why they came out here, and it was super cool.
I'm Mark Greck from Porter Ranch, California, and I think I've watched all of Brent's YouTube channel episodes, so I'm pretty well versed with the area. And when I saw the first mention of a metal detecting group coming out here, I quickly went out and I bought a metal detector, and it's my new hobby.
I actually was going to ask them permission through you to come up on a weekday someday and do this, you know? But, hell, this is perfect. This is 50 people in this big of an area.
I'm from Lyons, Colorado. I'm here with my son Hunter. He's down there detecting. We do mine exploring, and we're just adventurers. And we flew out last night to Los Angeles, stayed overnight, got up early, and we're here, and we can't believe it.
It's so great being here. I love it.
My great-grandparents ran a resort in the San Gabriel Mountains from 1919 until 1944, so I've been doing the same sort of exploration up there.
My name is Bryce. I'm 8. I'm really excited because I found campsite and I can't wait to dig up some new things.
And I'm Evan. I'm 9 years old, and I'm excited to find some coins if we do.
You know, not even an hour into it, we found our first coin. And it was a nickel from 1850, about 15 years predating the town. And I like to imagine, you know, how did that nickel end up there? You know, was the guy living in the mine and dropped it? Was it from somewhere above there that fell down? And how was it not found in the last 170 years?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think that says 1850.
Yeah, it says 1850.
Generally with ghost towns, not as many people, you know, are detecting on hillsides, and then, you know, something falls out of your pocket and rolls down the hill.
Totally.
You're not ever going to find it.
You know, maybe 30 minutes later, we were on to coin number 2. Down by the American Hotel, a guy uncovered an Indian head penny from 1892.
It's got a little corrosion on it, but it's in really good shape. You can't read the Liberty. I wouldn't want to brush it. Never want to brush a coin.
Coin? Boom! That's what I'm talking about. How did that penny get there? Was it slip through the cracks of the hotel? Did Butch Cassidy or one of the other infamous bandits that hid out here at some point in time touch it? Or was it the worker from the hotel, you know, who dropped it and spent 30 minutes trying to find it for it to never be found for another 130 years? I don't know, but I do know that I was here. And so as day 1 was coming to lunchtime, things were looking good. You know, we were finding a lot of stuff.
1870 seated dime.
I had never found any coins before. And at lunch, I did the same thing. You know, I kind of just stood back and observed and watched this beautiful community of people just bond over common interest. You know, an interest in not just the town, but the history of the American West, of metal detecting, of just a love of preserving history.
Box. But look at this. This is chimney. It's collapsed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of loose. It's a loose, so all the rocks, see? So they just fell. So they was burning something here. And if I would be a woman who want to hide something, that's where I would be hiding.
Yeah. And as I was going through, you know, I was not just getting to know the people, but I was getting to know a little bit more about metal detecting too. You know, I would watch the different methods and techniques that everybody took to the metal detecting. You know, some would pour the sand in their hand and metal detect it each time before they did it this way. Some were using a screen. Some were blocking out any metals that weren't precious metals to hopefully find something bigger.
So we just take a little bit out of the hand, you know. It's like a little piece of, it's like an axe head or something. It's kind of triangular.
It's either a voting box or a piggy bank.
Whoa.
So the plan of day 1 was to wrap right around 4. You know, I thought it'd be a really cool idea for everybody to come back, gather. You know, we do this show and tell where everybody showed what they found for the day. Everybody started adding their items to this table. And it was awesome, you know, it was to see this previously empty table just get filled with Cerro Gordo artifacts. Just put a huge smile on my face. You know, it was just something that everybody felt like they played a little part in, which they did.
If you want to kind of circle around, I'll kind of go over some stuff. There's a 1850 dime. Who found this? Who found this? At least as far as coins, this was the oldest coin of the day. 170 years old. That's pretty cool.
That's the oldest coin I've ever found.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet one. There's a close behind it 1858 dime as well that I believe was found in Newtown. Who found the 1858? All right, that was Newtown, right?
Yeah.
A silver ring. Super interesting. It has like a Greek or Roman character on it of some type and some type of initials. Considering I just spent about 4 weeks of my life making a silver ring about this size, I am very appreciative of any type of ring that's like that. Super cool coffee pots with filters on them, horseshoes. The lock was awesome. Yeah, very cool.
So to like collectively, find all these things was super cool.
First target of the day, pocket watch up by the brothel house.
And not even 15 minutes into the exploration, we found a pocket watch.
Right behind the trailer up there.
Oh yeah.
Just right behind it.
Right up there by the assay office, an area that I had walked over a dozen times. And so that just gives me confidence that every area that I've been over, there's probably still more there to discover. And that just means that pretty much for the rest of my life, I'm going to be searching and finding things here at Cerro Gordo, which is cool when I think about it like that. And I just totally understand metal detecting now. The idea that the next sweep might uncover some treasure hidden, And I wonder if that's how these miners that came to Cerro Gordo back in the 1800s felt. The next swing of the pickaxe was going to reveal the silver vein that was going to change their life, and the next treasure was to be found soon. And I think metal detecting has this ability to just keep you around, just when you're about to give up, you find something.
I think it's like a miner's tag. So sometimes what they would do is they'd have to put a tag when they would check out equipment. And so then when they would take the equipment back, they'd give them back their tag. So if they knew a piece of machinery wasn't back, they would look at the tag to what was missing.
Some equipment.
Oh yeah.
Every time I would go up to somebody and they just found something, there was just this satisfaction on their face of preserving part of Cerro Gordo's history. They are now participating in this town's rebirth. And it's amazing, it's something that I really hope that I get to share more of in the future. I think it's something that, just truly helps the town in a variety of ways. And so as the day went on, more and more artifacts started trickling in. We had our table, and by the end of day 2, it was pretty much just stacked.
All right, so day 2 is kind of wrapping up. A lot of people have been filing out. They gotta go back to day jobs and everything like that. But it has been an amazing weekend. We have a very good start to a Cerro Gordo coin collection. So if you guys come up in the future, I would love to keep adding to that. We have pocket watches, hundreds of bullets, axe heads, pickaxes, also a clock, all sorts of crazy stuff. It was really motivating. It kind of showed me how many people care about this place, how many people care about the history and adding to that history. I think the big success of this weekend, way more than whatever we found, was just the community. From everybody watching online, to everybody that comes up here in person, to all the volunteers that help make all these projects possible. You guys are the reason that this town is coming back to life. And I know I say that a lot, but it's truly, truly true. It's just, every one of you are helping bring this town new life. And whether it's just from watching it online, sharing it with friends, coming out here in person, or buying a piece of merch from our store, all of that helps so much. And I think this weekend was just a great reminder to me the power of this community. And so I just want to say thank you all so much. If you haven't already, I do hope you subscribe to these videos. I try to put one out every week or so. And who knows? Next time we have one of these in-person events, I'll try to give a lot more lead time so a lot more people can come. So look out for that. But until then, I'm signing off. I'm going to take the week, enjoy, maybe discover some more history. And I hope you guys have an amazing week. And I'll see you back here next time.